Hello lads, and welcome to the tutorial for the 306 blocks 5x5 that I showcased on my channel about a week ago now. This is not an explanation video by any means. Of course I'll be explaining some of the basic things that I'm doing, but I'll definitely make a video dedicated to explaining this thing because it is actually pretty cool. So here's the opening and closing if you haven't seen it. It's closing. And yeah, the opening time is actually random. Sometimes it's like half a second faster because of this pressure plate right here. It controls the side and the top pistons, and when you depower a pressure plate with an entity, like after it's been powered for a long time, it's kind of random when it depowers, so that's why this thing works in versions 1.16 and above and is not locational or directional, so I don't really know why you'd want this in your world because the animation's horrible, but whatever, it's kind of cool. Alright, so the space that you're going to need for this door is 9 by 2 by 17 tall, and we're going to start on the layout. So go to the middle block right here on the back layer. Our wiring is going to start here, and you have to have 4 blocks of space between your layout and the wiring. Our door frame is going to be on this block right here, so just for scale, this is going to be 4 blocks, and then your pistons. It's going to be flush with the door frame. This is just the same layout as the 351 blocks 5x5. So we're going to have our quad storage on this side, like this. Put your quartz blocks in there. We're going to have a double extender with storage on this side. We're going to have normal side pistons. Like this. And on the top, we're going to have our double extender storage there, and just our double storage here. And then a triple extender on top. So that is going to be the layout, and let's just start with the wiring. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the door frame. It's just very useful. It doesn't really get in your way at all, it's just one wide. We're going to start off with our input block. It's going to be right here, an observer facing down with a lever on it. That kind of sucks, but it is the best input block because we need to power this line immediately on both edges, so it's totally fine. We're going to have 2 lines of dust right here, and we're going to have this observer go into 2 droppers facing into each other. And it's very important that they're 2 droppers, but it's not important that you silence them, but that's debatable. Silencing them is very cool. So now we're going to give our double pulse to this line right here because we're going to need to spit out these blocks because we don't have an input to power these pistons directly. We just have to give these a double pulse. And on the opening, we're actually going to have these down right here. So when we give the double pulse, it'll actually retract it all the way up for the storage. So this is going to be the second pulse of the double pulse, which is actually going to go into the triple extender circuit, which is just happens to work out. We're going to have our updater right here with dust on it there. That's going to be our double pulse complete, and we're going to do the double extender storage now. We're going to need a hopper right here, dust right here, and the first thing we're going to be doing, I actually need a note block. We're going to be powering this with a 3-tick pulse to power the extender for this, and then what we're going to be doing is having 4-tick repeater right here into a block, and then observer facing this way and observer facing down. And you're going to have a normal piston right here, and that's going to finish off the double extender. And on this side, we're going to have an observer, normal piston going into an observer, and then an observer facing down, and on that a 4-tick repeater. Have a note block, and then we're going to have a slab right here, and we're going to have a target block right here. We're going to update this piston with a note block, so it doesn't actually power the side pistons at all. I'm going to have 2 observers going into this. Then out of that, we're going to have 2 observers. And our entire triple extender is literally going to fit in this space right here, which is kind of insane. We have this dropper, 2 items in it. We need a comparator. And what's going to happen is this piston will give a double pulse, and we're going to get 2 items spit into this hopper very quickly, and that's going to give a long enough pulse for the triple extender to work, just barely. As As you can tell, when this comparator turns off, this piston misses, but when this observer goes off, the pistons here are done retracting. So I have a lamp right here and then an observer right there. And what that's actually going to go into is this circuit right here with the lamp. So that's actually the entire top done. You can give that a test now. And it actually fails on the opening or the closing pretty badly. It's because of just the way that the triple extender works. The chain just doesn't work because when there's blocks in front of it, the pistons here won't be able to extend in time, and then they get stuck in an infinite loop of budding at this level. So it just doesn't work. So we can open it now, see it works fine. And it doesn't retract all the way, which is what we want, because it's going to be worked into the sequence at the end for the closing and opening move that goes last up in this space right here. So now we're going to do the bottom. We're going to power the rest of these side pistons first, like this. And we're going to take power from the side pistons through this piston right here to a dropper. And we're going to go into an observer right here. Then we're going to have our first of two entities in this system right here to give a long pulse. So we're going to have a glass block right here. If I can actually get a glass block. Yes, I got a glass block. Need a rail. Get just any minecart. I just use a minecart with furnace. I mean, you can use anything. And you're going to need well, I guess just use a fence, I guess. I usually use end rods because they're more versatile, but if you want to, you can just use a fence. It's much cheaper. Then you just push the minecart into the fence, and you break everything. And then you place a button on this, and then you retract it. Then you need another piece of glass right here. Have a sticky piston. Very important, the sticky piston. And then place a button on it, and it'll zero stick into this without moving the minecart at all. And this is important because what we're actually going to do is see if you, actually I think it needs to be a 1 tick. So if you just power this with a 1 tick, you can see that we're going to get a long pulse to this pressure plate. Well, not necessarily a long pulse, but if you take an output from a repeater, as shown here, it just gives a really long pulse. And that's what's going to be used to power both of the storage iterations. So first thing we're going to do is place a repeater on this observer facing down. And that's going to go across into two observers. An observer right there facing that way for later, to a dust. That's going to go into two blocks here. Actually, no, not there. Keep messing that part up. I need a dust there and a rail here. I need a sticky piston facing downwards. I need a dust there. And we're going to power the rest of these pistons through a bud right here. And to update these pistons, we're going to have a glass pane right here from this piston and a dust right here. And that will always update later. So if you can see, it'll power those pistons. And what's going to happen is you can see that now that this will play into it, it just waits a long time before doing the second storage. So what we're going to do here first is we're going to run this into a 4-tick repeater. It's going to do this part of the storage right here. Going to give the 2 pulses to this. And to get to 2 pulses to this, what we're going to be doing is taking a piston from here. I'm going to be going down and placing a rail here. Just delete this rail for right now, because it's going to connect with this other rail that we're going to be placing right here. It's going to go down, and then we're going to have an observer right here. And then you can place back this rail. Then if that one connects, just place it again. So what you want is this kind of thing right here. If you can't manage to do that, just place a hopper here. But again, that's a hopper, and I don't like hoppers, so I just put the rail. It's kind of difficult to manage the rail, but I hope you can get it. So there's that one. And then to power this storage piston right here, we're going to be doing a little bit of this. I'm going to have a key flip-flop right into here. And then what we're going to be doing to power this, we're going to be having a lamp right here that's get powered by a 2-tick pulse. And this is going to be going over into 5 observers to a cyan wool. And just for later, we're going to be placing a lamp here and an observer right here. That's going to be doing something for the dropper loop we're going to be placing later. And then right here, to power this thing right here, I'm going to be placing this right here, an observer facing this way. I'm going to have a concrete powder on it. Or a sand, same thing, just a gravity block. And that's going to be powering this observer. with a delay on the second pulse from that lamp. I'm going to have an obsidian here that's going to prevent that from pushing over. And then before we place these two things, just place 2 blocks right here. I'm going to need a glass pane and a glass block. Put the pane on the bottom, glass on the top. Put sticky pistons like this. And then we're going to have a cobble wall that's going to be right there. And then we're going to be doing is placing an armor stand right here. Break those 2 blocks. And then we're going to 0-tick these blocks over the armor stand. And that armor stand, we're going to have a sticky piston below it. And if you power the sticky piston, you can see it'll push the armor stand on the cobble wall up into these 2 blocks. And then it'll power this gold pressure plate that we're going to place right here. And that'll power the side pistons and do the rest of the top extension. Like that. We'll do that later though. So now we're going to place an observer right here. And that'll do the extension for this. And then to retract it, we're going to have another toggle here. So it only does this move on the opening. I'm going to have a lamp right here. And that's going to pulse twice, which doesn't really cause a problem because we have the double extender block it. And then to do the storage piston, we're going to have a 1-tick repeater right here. And then 3 observers like so. Now to do the double extender, we're going to have a dropper system. A dropper facing this way, being powered through this block. A dropper facing up, and a dropper facing this way for the toggle. A hopper facing down. Comparator, item in this dropper right here. Block, and then we're going to have a sticky piston with a target on it. And that's going to be moving this redstone dust right here. And that'll be powering this line right here for the double. That's going to be happening through these observers. And then to power this toggle, we're going to use another toggle from here. We're going to have a rail right here. Block. I'm going to have that power a repeater. I'm going to have a block, a repeater, and then an observer to power this. And then finally, we're going to finish off these side pistons. Observer, block, dust. And then we're going to have a sticky piston with another toggle. Observer facing upwards, away from the sticky piston when the door is open. And then 2 observers like this. That is going to be our door done. You can give this a test. So, you might have noticed that this door is actually slightly different than the one you see over here, and you might be wondering why. And that's because the previous version of this tutorial, if you built this version, I am sorry, this shouldn't be an issue anymore, but if you built this version, I'm going to link a fix just from this. If you've already built the entire door like this, with this dust right here, and no piston right here, like on this one, I'll put just the fix video in the pinned comment. So if you built this version, you don't have to go through and find the differences right here and rebuild everything. So if you built this version, you're totally fine. This is universal. I want to thank 015 Redstone for giving me the idea that it's locational. So yeah, thanks to him. And it was a pretty simple fix, just fixing a couple of things over here. I also made it a bit faster as well. It's like 0.3 or 0.4 faster than it was. So yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.